Hello and welcome to VLearn, Virtual Learning Network. This is session 6 of Human Resource Management, Job Analysis. Topics to be covered: Introduction, Purpose and Definition of Job Analysis, Job Description versus Job Specification, Technique of collecting information for job analysis, Methods of collecting job analysis data, Functional job analysis. Introduction. So yes, in this session we were actually going to have a discussion about the job analysis. In the very previous sessions of HRM, we actually get in a glance about what exactly the human resource management, how human resource management perform in an organization, what are the most important role of the human resource. So as in the very first step of the human resource management is HR planning. Now we were going to discuss about the second step of human resource planning, that is job analysis. Before going to analyze that how many people we required, before entering into the recruitment process, selection process, then entering into the trainings and then appraisal process, it is always required that to understand what exactly the job is and why we require this kind of a job in organization. So we have to analyze the job. So emerging from the year of downsizing, restructuring and with a new appreciations of the value for their human resource, many organizations are moving rapidly to embrace a new approach to the management of the human resource process. So yes, human job analysis are always required in analyzing whether organization required downsizings or it's required restructurings or they required a new appreciations, new upcoming opportunities in the organization or not. So in other words, we can state that job analysis help to understand the qualities needed by employees. So it is what basically focusing on what the organization is looking from the employees. What are the skills, what are the traits, what characteristics the organization is actually looking for. So that shows that the job analysis is not only about the job, it also discusses about the job holders. And yes, at the same time, defined through behavioral descriptors to provide the optimum work performances. That is to work on the very optimum level and yes, at the same time, which makes the organization employees more productive, more effective to achieve the organization's objective. So these qualities range from the personality characteristics and abilities to the specific skills and knowledge. Now the first, purpose of job analysis and its definition. As yes, in the previous slide we have in a discussion that where we actually required to analyze our job while deciding on the downsizing, while appreciation, or at the same time we can say that any kind of promotions was there. So job analysis is always required, or the organization have a new opportunity in the environment and they have a new task to perform, so they require new skills, new knowledge. So in that case they require job analysis. So job analysis is the fundamental process that form the basis of all the human resource activity. That's very true. It's very essential and very fundamental process, because it's not only about judging them or analyzing that. It's all about understanding your human resource, understanding the skills which you are actually looking for, understanding what you actually have. So in that case, job analysis is a systematic process for gathering, documenting and analyzing the data about the work required for a job. So it is a very systematic process in a very systematic manner when organization taking a step to just to understand what job is, gathering the information about the job, maintaining that documentation, analyzing them and work according to them. So this gathering, this documentation, this analyzing is all about what? This is all about to gather the information and take this information as in a source to have a more better skills, better work in the organization. This data is always helpful to analyze in the stage of recruitment, to analyze in the stage of trainings, at the same time any kind of promotions, transfer, at the time of inductions. This kind of data is always help in this various areas. So the data collected in the job analysis and reflected through a job description, it include description of content, principal duties of job, information about skill, responsibility, mental models, technique of the job analysis. So these are all the factors which are included in it. So it is all about what content, principles, skill, responsibility, techniques and mental ability. So these are the things which are required in job analysis. So job analysis provide an objective picture of the job. That's very true. We can, or in other words, we can state that job analysis basically gives us the blueprint of all the jobs in the organization. This actually gives the idea that how many jobs we are having, what are the roles and responsibilities of that job, what kind of work this job going to be performed, at the same time how much productive and how essential these jobs are in organization. So not the person performing the job, and as such, so provide the fundamental information to support all the sustained and related HR activities. So it's just not only having a discussions about job, it's also about the holder also, that what you are actually looking from your holders. Like for example, in case of recruiting and selecting a person in your organization, what are the base through which you are actually going to recruit that person? What is the base through which you are actually going to select that person? This job analysis is actually a base. It gives the idea to the top management that what they are actually looking for, what they actually want from that job. This person is capable to perform these activity, what they were actually looking from that job holder. Is that person have that much of skills, that much of knowledge? So in that case, this is all related to those future activity. It always help in those future activities. So that is what the HR activities include: the recruitment, the training, the development, performance management, succession planning. So job analysis is basically having two very critical functions with respect to this process. Now, this is the very summarized slide of job analysis. What exactly this slide is mentioning? Job analysis is what? Gathering the information about the job, understanding the job. So this is what job analysis. And yes, job analysis is very important to HR managers because it's always help them to analyze the future areas or help them to make a decisions on that future aspects. At the same time, they has called as building blocks. It always help to create a building blocks. And yes, almost every HRM program required some type of information. It always required that much of information which is provided. So what kind of information they help? In selection, we always require job description and job specification. In human resource planning, in job evaluation, in performance appraisal, training, career planning, work redesigning. So these are all the areas in which this is going to be performed. Job description and job specification, the two main areas in which the job analysis was divided. There are two areas, job description and job specification. As from the very previous slides, we have a discussion that yes, in this we were actually, this is basically stating that job description and job specification are of the two sides of the job analysis. Job description is all talking about the job, that is job title, job location, job summary, reporting to the at the same time reporting to whom, working conditions, job duties, machines to be used, hazards. Whereas job specifications are more towards qualifications, experience, training, skills, responsibilities, emotional characteristics and sensory demands. So we can understand that the job description are more towards the job and job specification is more towards the job holder. So there are the two main parts. Now, the techniques of collecting the information for the job analysis. This is one of the very important concept. What are the ways to collect the information? Because job analysis is only depend on collecting the information and then finally analyzing that information. So, what are these techniques and how we can collect all the information? If we talk about the techniques of collecting information for job analysis, the very first is observation mode. That means we have to observe the thing, we have to observe all the concepts. So this is related to the observation method. In the observation method, it is always related to understand the what is exactly going on, what are the responsibilities. This is all depends on the judgments of a judge who are observing it, who are actually analyzing and calculating it. So that is what the observation method. Another is questionnaire method. Questionnaire method is to ask the questions, to ask them a relevant questions and relevant factors related to job, related to the responsibilities of job. It is all about understanding the questionnaires methods of technique, understanding the employee's viewpoint by asking different points, by asking the different questions. So that comes into the questionnaires method. Another is interview method. Interview method is all related to defining the interview's technique, calculating the interview, taken a conduct an interview in, or it could be individual basis interview, or it's based on the group interview. In conduct that interviews method, and yes, it is always related to getting the information in a very formal manner. So it's a very formal thing. In the observation, yes, there is nothing kind of, so that interview method is towards the very formal part. Now, one by one, we will going to discuss on that. If we initially discuss about what is questionnaire, questionnaire is just to have a complete understanding, get an information by covering n numbers of questions. So it is what to complete by a job holder and approved by a job holder supervisor, are useful when a large number of jobs are to be covered, when the very huge number of the jobs are to be related. They can also save interviewing time by recording purely factual information. It's always the factual information, fact basis, figures and all, and by helping the analyst to structure his or her questions in advance, to cover all the questions in advance and yes, ask according to that questions. So it is what to basically getting the in-depth knowledge about the various factors, to get the in-depth understanding about the concept. Then another is interview, that is to obtain the full flavor of the job. It's useful, necessary to interview the job holder. So this is interview technique in which the interview is going on, conducted by the the heads, and yes, at the same time job holder basically performed according to that. So to check the findings with their superiors. So the aim of interview is to obtain all the relevant facts about the job. It is to just to get all the interviews and obtain all the relevant facts. So covering all the areas which are under this questionnaire. Then other is observational method, which we already discussed. Observational method is basically a field of research. Researchers' work is there. It is the social research technique that involves the direct observation of phenomena in their natural settings, and this differentiates its from experimental research, in which a quasi-artificial environment is created to control of the superstitious fact, and where at least one of the variable is manipulated as in a part of experiment. So this is always related to the very observational part. When you observe the many things, they are more towards the researching the many techniques social researchers are performed. So it is actually to understand, or we can say that understanding by according to their own phenomena. It is just to have a direct observation. It is more towards having the experimental research on a very artificial environment. So that is what basically the observational research. These are the techniques of collecting information from job analysis. These are actually a very new techniques which are included in job analysis, the very initial one. So what in the previous method we will understand that it is observational method, it is about questionnaire, interviewing. These are the main one. Now that is manual, very manual, related to the interactions, face-to-face interactions with it. But now There are many analyses in the techniques of collecting information for job analysis. The very first is the functional job analysis model. It is, and second is Frischman's job analysis system. Third, job scan model. Fourth, competency model. Fifth, position analysis questionnaire. Sixth, ONET model. These are related to technical models who are mainly towards analyzing the different things and understanding the different concepts of the job analysis. And yes, at the same time, we can state that the functional job analysis model is very much related to the functional part. What are the roles to be performed by a job? So this is functional job analysis. Second is the Frischman job analysis system, that is on related to the analyzing the jobs according to the scenarios, according to the situations. There was a change in role and responsibility. This is all the system which is stated by the Frischman. Then job scan model is another there where you have to analyze the job into each and every aspect, where you have to understand the job in each and every point of view. Another is competency mapping. Competency mapping is to just to understand how much person is capable of doing the certain things. What are the capabilities of a person to perform the things? That comes into competency model. Another is position analysis questionnaire, to understand the exact or the very foremost position of the questionnaire. And ONET model. So in first we were going to discuss about we can say that out of these 5 models, one of the very essential model which are ruled or operate in the organization, that is functional job analysis model. And that is why we were going to discuss this model in this session. So functional job analysis model is all about analyzing the job according to the functions which are performed by the various person, or we can say that they performed by the job holders. So this is what the functional job analysis. Functional job analysis is also called as FJA, and is a method of a job analysis that was developed by the Employment and Training Administration of United States Department of Labor. So this is what the basic, one of the very first understanding of the job analysis, functional job analysis, that it's a method of analyzing that was a development of Employment and Training Administrations. So if we talk about the FGA, that is functional job analysis procedures, it standardizes the occupational information specific to the performance of the work and the performer. So that is on the very understanding level. You have to understand that, or we can say that it's just to give them a standardization, to give them in a way to perform, and yes, occasionally information specific to performance of the job or to work. Whereas quantitative approaches to the job analysis that utilize a compliant inventory of a various functions or a work activity that can make up any job, and that assumes that each job involves 3 broad worker functioning. So these are all, if we talk about the very quantitative approaches, so yes, job analysis performed in that, they are basically into to understand what exactly the activities or what exactly the functions of a job, and they can make that job into the assumption part. So they are the 3 broad workers: data, people, and things. So 3 things was considered in functional job analysis, that is FJA: data, people, and things. So the most recent version of FJA used 7 scales to describe what worker do in the job, what are the roles they are actually going to be performed. So in that 7 scales, the first is things. There must be a things to perform. There must be a data to perform. People must be there. Worker instructions, reasonings, maths, and language. So there are a few questions which you have to do it yourself. First is define the job analysis. you have to define what is job analysis, and another is what are the methods of job analysis. So define all the methods which are used in the job analysis. So this is all about for the today's session. We are winding up here. Thank you so much. Happy learning. We learn.